I must be about halfway through this arduous walk from Seaton to Lyme, and I bumped into somebody coming the way, and they said, "Oh yes, there is some really rough bits." And "How's the rest? Was it really bad?" And I went, "No, it's a cakewalk. You know, if you've done Golden Gap, if you've done Turtle Door, it's nothing. You know, it's not even most people will be able to cope with that." And yeah, I mean, we've got like signs sometimes it's signs every 100 yards. Usually like every half mile or so, you'll see a coast path there, which is a bit weird, because why did they spend all that time saying coast path this way when you actually can't go anywhere else, because you've got a cliff one side, and then you've got, the sea the other. But you can't see anything anyway, because you're actually walking through. If you imagine maybe trekking to the moons of Endor with less Ewoks, and maybe the Ewoks might have been here. That's kind of it, really. Very big trees. A few of them fall down. Obviously, it's not so remote that people can't get chainsaws here. That's it. There's not really much coast. For a coastal path, it's very uncoasty. So what they should have said, rather than saying it's a rather arduous path, they should have gone, it's quite boring. If you want to see the coast, just give it a miss. Because at the moment I'm like, well, my feet might hurt at the end of this, but it's nothing. I've gone through harder walks in Surrey than this. I mean, seriously. So yeah, I mean, it's what it is basically it's the Undercliff. So what you're walking along is the bit that's created by the landslips, and then it's grown up with lots of trees. And I think I heard a woodpecker earlier. I wasn't sure if the tree was about to fall on me, but there was this sort of knocking sound in the tree. I couldn't see it. I tried to see it. But, yeah. I've seen one tree I would have drawn, but I didn't want to stop because of the arduous journey ahead. And if I skipped out on all these things because of the arduous journey, I'll be rather pissed off. Because I'm half expecting to get to Lyme and go, well, where was this arduous journey? But yeah, I mean, there are bits which are a bit scrabbly. Like one here, which is down some tree roots, which is a little bit scrabbly. I'm going to be careful going down there. But a lot of it has steps, there's benches and signs, and you can't go wrong. You can't wander off a path or anything. So, yeah, it just doesn't say... brutal, it just doesn't say arduous to me so far, but I mean we're about must be like 4 or 5 miles in. I haven't hit it yet. I mean I was 2 miles about maybe 1-2 miles ago, and I've been making good progress because it's all through shaded forest. So what I call arduous is being on the headland, blasted by wind, boiled by the sun, rain, almost blown off the cliff, and struggling up stone paths. What I don't call arduous is walking through a forest with mostly earth track in the shade. That's like, yeah. So anyway, we'll see. I will report back. I will report back, and hopefully I won't be like, oh, come save me. Well, not that I could get any signal. Obviously down here it's not very much signal down here, but phone signal maybe, no data signal. But in Seaton it was like 2G. It was H+, so it was 2G or barely 3G. See, I'm doing the scary bit while talking on the phone. That's how scary it is. Oh, the scary bit over. Yeah. Because you've heard me sort of puffing away, walking up things. This is a fucking cakewalk so far. So I'm sure I will eat my words and go, oh yes, there was a thing at X miles in and it's called so and so, and oh my god. But yeah, let's say it must be like 3.5, 4 mile mark. Maybe even close to 5. I haven't checked yet, but I haven't seen any signs or anything. The last sign says 2 miles, and that was about 2 miles, 2-3 miles ago. So, I don't know. We shall see. Yes, we're about 2.5 miles from Lyme. I'm still waiting for the arduous bit. I could call it many words. I wouldn't call it arduous. I'll call it irritating and pointless. Those are the 2 words I would actually use. If the sign had said, "Hey Tim," I wouldn't say "Hey Tim." That'd be weird if it said "Hey Tim," wouldn't it? If the sign said, "This is a boring, pointless thing and you won't see the coast," I wouldn't have done it. No, it said it sort of tempted me in by saying it's arduous and there's no exit points, which is also not right. There are 2 exit points. There is an exit point at Rouston. There's a ruined pump house and there's a track that goes up to the Peak Estate. Yes, Peak, as in Peak Friends, as in the biscuits. Although they sold it ages ago. And I met some people there who said, "Oh, you just press the button on the gate to get out." So that's leaky. And this is very sort of around my walking blog. If you've ever read my walking blog, which is Walking the Wrong Way, which I haven't updated for years, but that's a similar thing, is that I talk about a lot about that, about the fact you know, there's a lot of private signs, a lot of people going, "Oh, no, you can't come to here," and you find you can, or you can go over a gate or whatever, or it's fine. And there's a second one as well. So that sign was actually lying. There's actually a permissive footpath to Pinhay. And it says something about, no access to the A30205 and lands between. But it goes to Pinhay. So unless it has this fence and you can't jump over the fence to even go back to Pinhay, there must be a point you can get out at that point at Pinhay. So why would you ever have that footpath? So I'm not even finished, and I found 2 exit points. So not only was that sign wrong about, there is no, and I really should take a picture of it now. Maybe if there's not one on the other side, I will. But yeah, it's not arduous. It's just irritating. It's just lots of uppy downs, but there's steps, and it's just kind of a bit, I'd say at the, what would be that 5 mile mark now, yeah, my feet are hurting. But they would usually do that anyway. There's nothing I've been gone like, oh God. It's not like, as I say, there's a bit of Moot Bay or Colne Cap or any of those places. It's not like that walk I did earlier, second day of the holiday when my legs went to jelly. That was scary. This is just, it's like Surrey on steroids, really. And there's some interesting ruins that pop up, like that pump house is another one. Apparently, there used to be sheep herding or sheep keeping down here up until 1900, and then those pump houses were for the Peak Estate, and so there's some farm things, but there's not many things here. But it's all very. I just don't see the point of having a coastal walk. You don't actually see the coast, because I've only seen the coast like 2 or 3 times in this whole walk. Usually you can't see it. You're walking through what is basically like, as I said, Endor forest, sort of big trees and cliffs. I'm impressed by how big the trees get when they're just left on their own. That's quite impressive. But there's only a couple of trees I thought, I might draw that. There's only about 2 trees, I thought. 2 or 3 trees, I was like, actually, they're interesting. The rest is just, as I say, it's just a bit like, and more uppy Surrey. It's a bit like Box Hill. It's like eternally walking through the bit by the River Mole, with a cliff on the side, and you've got all those trees, and you've got that very steep embankment cliff with other things. It's basically that for 7 miles. And so I really don't recommend it. Not because, oh my God, it's arduous, or oh my God, it's really difficult. It's not. Just because it's just meh. And if there is anything interesting, like this, back there I heard the sound of falling water. And you're not allowed to, you're not supposed to leave the path. I'm at the moment, actually. But, you don't usually leave the path because of, landslips and shit. And also buildings and all kinds of, things, all kinds of stuff here. But, there was a path to have a look at it. But I was just like, ouch, footsie's out. But, you can't see it from the path. There's too much greenery. It's too much But interestingly, someone's been through and trimmed the overhanging greenery. So this idea of being arduous path where actually there's steps, benches, and someone has gone through and trimmed and removed all the fallen trees and trimmed all the the overhanging stuff. It's like, yeah, whoever had that sign obviously never walks anywhere. Anyway, I've got only a few miles to go, because the thing is, obviously 2.5 is to Lyme, and I'll probably, because got my shopping with me and I did my shopping, I'll probably just head straight up from where actually. So I would like to get some ice from somewhere, but otherwise, it's not worth schlepping all the way into Lyme for that. Especially as it'll take me a while to walk back. It probably will be melted anyway. So yeah. If I had, see, I don't have, I could create ice if I had some receptacles to freeze it in. But yes, so yeah, it's not really. It's just it's not really sort of, wow, this is so difficult. It's just like, no, and also, it's really not the coast. I've done walks like this before. I on my Walking the Wrong Way blog, which is mutantpop.net/walk, by the way, I used to do lots of the same sort of thing as this, but photograph them rather than artworks. I still photograph this as well, but I used to be just about the photographs, and then I think I mentioned before with GPX tracker and stuff like that, which is why I was confusing Bognor Regis with Lyme Regis. I don't know why I did that, because I was in Bognor Regis walking along there. Yeah, Lyme Regis is not flat, by the way. It hasn't had a station for a long time. But if it ever had a station, I think it did. But yeah, I talked about the fact that I walked along the river. I did a series of walks along the River Thames. And what happened is, at Windsor, it goes so far away from the river you can't even see the river, and partly because HMQ has decided to close the walk along the Windsor Park, and you have to go on either side, and the people in the I can't remember the name of it, Datchet, the village of Datchet have decided not to allow anyone to walk in front of their properties, so you're actually walking along a road and you can't even see the river for about several miles. So I get rather annoyed when you've got like a coastal walk, and what you are, I can just about see it, only because I actually sitting on the bank that's between you and the thing. I've actually gone off the path you're not supposed to do. I can actually see the sea. That's not a coastal walk. Anyway, I got my midget gems. This has been a several midget gem walk, but not. I have like a rating of how many midget gems or wine gums I have. If I have a lot of them, then that was a hard walk. But this was not that many. So anyway, I'll speak to you soon. Well, I'm just walking at Ware Lane. I even saw the warehouse. Yeah, there is actually a place called Ware House in Ware, and it's spelled the same, W-A-R-E. Oh, it makes me giggle, the warehouse. Where's the house? Warehouse party. Come on, people, warehouse party. And I can honestly say that was the worst. No, not in the sense of, oh my god, that's really bad, that was really terrible, or I got really wet, or I was really, it's really painful, or it was really, this or that. No, that was honestly the most boring and the most non-coastal coast path walk I've ever done, and I really do not recommend it. It got to the point at the end, it was difficult, not because it was I actually found the sign at the end which had the same wording, difficult and arduous. It's only difficult because it's so fucking boring, and it's only arduous because it's so boring. It's so, you just get deja vu after a while. It's like walking through a jungle. You're like, haven't I been here before? Have I been here? This looks really familiar. Have I been here before? There's a lot of that. And yes, so it's sort of, I don't know. It's one of these things which is like, do not recommend that walk at all. The Undercliff walk, what is apparently a coastal walk, but you'll see the coast about 3 times. And what really annoyed me is, as I came up to Chimney Rock, which is well worth visiting, up a path which was 1,000 times more difficult than anything on the difficult and arduous coastal walk. I mean, seriously, like, oh look, I'm almost getting attacked in the face by nettles because it's so steep, and bits of the steps are starting to fall down. No benches and no trimmed, no trimming, no lawn mowing there. And yeah, I saw the gloaming and I was like, fuck, really lovely pink gloaming with over the sea. I was like, I want to paint that, but no. To do that would be walk into Lyme, another mile, then have to walk 2 miles back, and after that long knackering except shit walk, I don't really want to. And there's 2 things I want to get from Lyme, but I'm just sort of not exactly limping home, because as I say, the walk wasn't like that walk on the 3rd day, but it's just avoid that walk. Just do not do it. A rare car on Gore Lane. Just don't do it. It's just not worth it. I think there are paths over the tops of the cliffs that isn't the official South West Coast path, but I was expecting it to join up with those. It didn't. What it did is it went up there was a shortcut, almost vertical, up these steps to the Chimney Rock, which is actually quite interesting. This is sort of rocky outpost, and you can see the sea from there, but not enough to draw or paint. So there was a trading standards for footpaths naming. I think there would be a claim in for that Southwest Coast Walk, because strictly it is along the coast, but you kind of assume in a coast walk you'd actually be able to see the coast, not be in trees all the time. But one thing, it does actually explain something. I mean, the guy I met in the way was, it's really hard. It's like, it wasn't. So maybe my superpower is walking in cool, rather cold actually, damp forests. And I was bounding through there. Towards the end, really bounding through, because I was like, and swearing a lot, just going, this is fucking shit. This is terrible. This is boring. This is the most boring walk ever. Because once you want some variety in a walk, you want a little bit more than just, and there was nothing I could paint or anything, because when you've got just a whole forest of trees, I could have chosen one or the other, but I would hear, I'm getting about 8 o'clock now, and it took me about 3 hours. It said 3.5 to 4 hours. It took me about 3 hours, and I stopped back for an hour to do a drawing of the only thing I found interesting, which is the ruined pump house at Frowston. But the rest of it was just like, really? Whoever wrote that whole, it's difficult and arduous, needs to go walking elsewhere. Oh dear, 2 cars. This is not good. The road was quiet. Obviously not as quiet as I thought it would be. But yeah, so anyway, he's waiting for me to get to the pissing place. Let's go. But yeah, would not recommend